they're talking in the background, but we're both too afraid to say anything. Our wives are talking in the background, but neither one of us want to say, please be quiet. Oh, right. David Ritzy for the Bond Experience. Welcome back.
And Mark Hazard.
Mark Hazard. Cheers, Mark Hazard. Did you lose your eyesight, or are you just going to wear sunglasses in the house?
Well, it was a little glary.
Oh, it's a little glary. You're a little glary.
Okay, there you go.
First of all, welcome back. We're having you back because a lot of people had a lot of questions. Wanted to get an update. Wanted to make sure you're okay. And I've got a series of questions that are actually from my viewers. You ready for this?
No.
You're not. But you have a drink that you haven't opened. Because how old is this beer? How long has this been sitting in your refrigerator?
I don't know. You tell me.
I think like 4 years, honestly.
Is
beer does go bad.
Oh.
Are you going to drink it? Because I want to see you keel over right on this camera.
Maybe later.
Listen, we have to start out with the basics. You know this is a Bond lifestyle channel, and you tend to live the Bond lifestyle even as an octopussyarian, right?
Octogenarian.
Octogenarian. How old are you now?
81.
It's amazing. I mean, you really do look every minute of it.
Okay.
So let's do a watch check first. I'm wearing my Quantum of Solace Omega watch. What watch are you wearing today? You can take it off. That's a good idea. This way we can see it better.
Okay.
There's my Omega Quantum of Solace, which I like.
And I'm wearing my...
Lift it up to the camera. Oh, it's an Invicta. That's very nice. It looks like the Rolex that your
like the
wife made you get away.
5513?
Yes. Which you used to own, right?
Back. Yes.
Do you know how much
The
that
original
watch is worth now?
Well, I know that one of them sold for $250,000, and that belonged to an actor.
Yeah, and you sold yours for like $100 to a
For
friend?
parts.
Oh my gosh. Again, they're talking, but I'm so afraid to tell them to be quiet.
I don't think you can hear them.
Oh, yeah, that'll pick up their voice, no problem. All right, and we're having our drinks. What are you wearing? We got to keep talking about the lifestyle. I'm wearing an Olivar Brown shirt. It's from their Dr. No collection. What are you wearing today?
I'm wearing a J.C. Penney's t-shirt.
I like it. There's nothing wrong with J.C. Penney's. Is that a British brand? It sounds familiar. Wait, didn't J.C. Penney's go out of business?
Yes, domestic brand.
But they did go out of business.
No, they're still in business.
Okay, I was going to say that could be an antique.
It is.
We got to get to the heart of the matter. All right, you have only so much time, and I mean that in the whole chronological sense of your life. First of all, my viewers want an update. What have you been doing with yourself since your last very popular video where we smoked cigars? What have you been doing with yourself?
Taking care of my wife.
How is she doing? Besides being very talkative in this video. Is she okay?
She's on the mend.
She's on the mend. She had some bionic parts put in?
Exactly.
Yeah. It'll make her better and stronger.
Hopefully.
And yet you are the picture of health. What is going on?
Well, I have to stay strong. Between my wife and my mother-in-law, who's going to be 100 in September.
That's amazing. And a very irritating son-in-law. You have a lot to do, right? I mean, you should have seen him when I said, can we do this video? The grimace and the whining that went on. I did have to ply you with an unopened beer, if you remember, which is just sitting there being cold. All right. Great to know that you've been taking care of people. You're what we call a mensch. You know what a mensch is?
Yes.
What's a mensch?
A complete human being.
I couldn't have said that worse if I tried. Yes, that, but I also think it's just a good person. It's a person that has a big heart. And now when you were an assassin, I said, I'll edit that out. Mark, when you've done the bidding of the government, you always had a big heart. And that's one of the reasons why you're retired, right?
Is that what?
You were a Deadeye, though, weren't you? From a marksmanship standpoint, when you did your training?
Well, I was a decent marksman.
You're being humble. You beat all the young people. Didn't you? When you went down to Georgia to train?
Well, I did. At 62, and it was the best shot of the day.
And now that you're 93, you're probably
Not
even
yet.
better. Not yet.
Not yet 93.
But imagine the work you'll do at 93.
Well, I haven't fired a weapon in a while, but
Thank goodness.
I'm sure I haven't lost it.
Yeah. And listen, this is why I try to, when I run away from you, I zigzag as much as possible.
A moving target's hard to hit. Exactly.
Then I'm going to keep on moving. That's a Bond quote, Skyfall. All right. Listen, I know I'm a geek. You poor thing. Let's go back a little bit, shall we? Let's do it. Well, pretty far. When you first met me, you had no idea how much I was going to be into James Bond, correct?
I don't know if you were into James Bond at that time.
Probably into like
doing
Star
other
Wars, things
Yeah,
like that.
Star Wars, even prior to that.
So has it been very sobering to see how the James Bond zeitgeist, if you will, the tsunami, has become?
Well, you went through different periods.
Mm-hmm.
You had the biggest Star Wars collection at one time.
That's true.
Yeah. And then you morphed into superheroes for a while.
Oh, literally, you morphed.
Yeah.
It was morphin' time.
And then into the James Bond franchise, I guess.
Yeah.
Call it, yeah.
I'm going to have to ask you to have more inflection in your voice than AI, if we could.
Okay.
Like, you're an emotional guy. You said you have a big heart. Let's really show it.
Oh, you said I had a big heart.
You do have a big heart. It's enlarged. We're trying to really cut out the fried foods. But listen, we've got to get down to turkey here because we're 6 minutes in, nearly 007 minutes. And my viewers want to know your opinion on James Bond. Who do you want to be the next James Bond? Who's your favorite?
Good question.
I think so.
Well, a lot of good actors out there. You know, I guess whoever's available at the time.
Really? Just any actor that's available, that's the one you want to be James Bond?
No, that's the one that'll probably become James Bond.
I think that your criteria could be narrowed down. Is there a particular action star that you want?
They're all good.
Look,
That's
you're not
why
running
they're
for
actors.
office. I feel like I need an answer from you. Do you like Liam Neeson? Is he too old?
Liam Neeson has his niche. You know, he's still good, even you know, at his age. Harrison Ford, I guess, is still making movies. You know, he's
You
my
could see
age.
him as James
He's
Bond?
my age. No, but you know,
I don't know if you remember, we were talking about James Bond, not Indiana Jones.
no, but
Oh.
he's you know he's up there in age.
Yes.
But you don't want you know, somebody who's that old to be a you know.
I don't
James
even
Bond
want
guy.
somebody as old as me. I want somebody who's, you know, kind of late 30s, maybe early 40s if they look good, that can handle a 15-year
I would
window.
say that's a good that's a good range.
Yeah. All right. So I'll give you kind of like a Rorschach. You tell me what you think of these actors. Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Some of these people, I really
He was the
I've
guy in
seen
Kick-Ass.
pictures of them, but I really can't recall.
Yeah, he was the guy in
them.
Kick-Ass.
I don't recall seeing that.
Okay. Henry Cavill.
Cavill, I've seen. Yeah,
What do you think?
He's all right. He's good.
What do you like about him? What do you meh?
Well, he has a decent presence. He's been doing a lot of work lately, right?
Yes.
He's been in a series on, I guess, what was it, cable TV?
The Witcher.
The Witcher.
He was in
yeah.
The Witcher. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's done quite a few films. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
What about I'm going to throw you a curveball. Tom Holland, the guy playing Spider-Man, young guy.
I'm not really familiar with him.
Okay.
I've heard the name. I think I've probably seen his picture, but I
Yeah.
can't recall what he looks like at the moment.
Now
because
you watch a lot of
quite few
TV.
of
Is
them.
it that you just don't retain what you're watching?
No, because I don't watch that kind of TV. I watch mostly news type.
That's not true. You watch action films too, don't you?
On occasion, yeah.
You know the guy who plays Thor, right?
Plays Thor.
Not Thor. Thor.
Oh, Thor.
The guy with the hammer?
Thor, yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize him, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think he'd be a good James Bond?
I don't know. Does he have the accent?
He's got an Australian accent, but I feel
Well,
like he
that
could do
could
a
pass.
British
He could
accent.
pass, yeah.
No one's really talking about him. So really, there's no actors out there other than the ones that have been dead or nearly dead that you could see as James Bond.
Again, you know, any one of them could probably do the job. You know, that's why they're actors.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I really feel like you should run for office because you are so nebulous in your answers. It's astounding. Let's move on to something I know you know a lot about. I mean, you're definitely going to have an answer for this. Is there are certain attributes, characteristics of James Bond. You've watched James Bond since the 60s. You know them well. What characteristics do you think the new James Bond in this day and age should have? What should he be like?
Well, the new James Bond probably would not reflect the same type of character that the '60s James Bond would have.
What do you mean by that?
Because society has changed considerably. So some of the things that you could get away with in the '60s, you wouldn't be able to today.
True. You know what?
So,
your hands are shaking the camera.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's them. They're going to need a nausea bag or something.
Am I moving the camera?
Yeah, moving it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I know. It's a pain. I paid very little for this set, but the flowers are expensive. That's all I'm saying. So you're right. So some of the things from the 1960s, I get. What does the new?
That's part of the personality of James Bond, though. You got to realize in the time it was written, these things were permissible and acceptable.
Not so much nowadays.
But you have to aim at a certain audience, and who's your audience going to be?
Yes.
And are they going to be offended by some of the things that occurred when these books were originally written and turned into movies in the '60s? I don't know. Today's audience is maybe different. They may be looking at James Bond in a different light. But I think the humor. It's a big aspect of it,
and that doesn't change, right? Humor.
Well, humor. It depends on the person that's that's listening to it, the receiver.
Okay.
Humor does change over time.
So it can't be mean-spirited humor. Maybe it's situational humor.
It depends. It depends on your audience again.
Right.
If you were dealing with professionals that deal with a lot of death and stuff. You could go with dark humor, but I don't think the general public would appreciate that.
Okay. See, I like ironic dark humor, but you're saying with the new audience. So do you think the people that own James Bond or the ones creating the new movie, they've got to be careful or at least thoughtful of the new audience?
Again, you have to aim whatever product you're producing to the to your current audience.
To your target audience.
To your target audience, exactly.
Do you still think people like you and I are the target audience, or has it expanded, become more narrow?
I don't know. Everything stands on its own, and depending on what the subject matter is at the time, that's what you would go with, I guess.
So let me give you a brain twister then. So based on what you just said, knowing that the 1960s Bond was a charming secret agent that would woo women, coerce even in some cases, do you think the new Bond can be that individual? Can he still get information by being charming, or do you need to think of it in a different way?
Well, techniques probably would change, according to society.
More hands, less tongue? No, what do you mean by technique?
Well, how you would interview. You wouldn't want to offend somebody, so you would use a different approach, probably.
Of course. If you had somebody do a 1960s approach to a woman nowadays that you wanted information, let's say at a bar or on a Tinder date, you could easily offend them talking like you did in the 1960s.
Exactly.
So you'd have to put the packaging of today on there, but you could still be charming.
Yeah, you would really have to rework the James Bond character.
That's right. Now you, in the 1960s, if I could be so bold, were an absolute rapscallion. Do you know what a rapscallion is?
I have an idea.
I mean, a rogue, an absolute haberdashery, if you will, a plague to women. So I assume that the thing that you use to woo your own wife and coerce information from, you could not do today. Is that fair to say?
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that you were a rogue in the '60s any more than you would be a rogue today. I mean, a rogue is a rogue.
Oh, so a rogue is defined by the time you're roguing it versus the individual. Like in the 1960s, you weren't a rapscallion and a rogue. Looking back on it, you were despicable. Fair to say?
It depends on who.
Oh, so offense is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's no different today than it was yesterday.
Exactly.
So ergo and vis-a-vis, some things haven't changed.
No, basic human nature hasn't changed. No. It's basic human nature is always going to pretty much remain the same.
What are some things about James Bond that you don't think we should compromise on? Should he always have a good car? Should he always do quips, gadgets? What are the things that you say?
That makes part of the personality of James Bond, right? I mean, this is what he does, right? He's
yeah. But I gave you those. Those were a gift. What are the ones that you conjure up? That when you sit in a dark theater with the air conditioning, with your fingers covered in butter like you have never eaten before, and you bring them up, and everything goes dark and the lights go on. What do you want to see James Bond be?
entertaining.
I like that. That is a nice, nebulous, generic answer, which you're full of today. There's a 4-letter word and you're full of it. No, it's a Roger Moore quote. I would never say that to my father-in-law. All right, this one's an easy one. I've been throwing some difficult ones. Here's a softball. Here's one that it's actually going to put you into the Orange County election. You ready for this? All right. If you could have any James Bond vehicle, could be a plane, motorcycle, car, doesn't matter. Could even be a water bike. In your garage, next to your Miata, which James Bond vehicle would it be?
Well, you mentioned the ones that could fly and go in the water.
Anything.
Get one that can do all of those things.
So like the Lotus submarine from The Spy Who Loved Me?
If it could fly, yeah.
I don't know. No, it can't fly.
It can't fly.
Scaramanga's vehicle could fly. But you need something that can fly?
Well, yeah, you mentioned airplane.
So you're creating your own
watercraft and
vehicle.
Also, yeah.
All right.
But it would be cumbersome as a land vehicle.
It would be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be very practical, would
No,
it?
it wouldn't.
All right. So rolling it back, is there a particular vehicle that you've seen in the Bond films that you're like, ooh, I wouldn't mind that sitting in my garage?
Oh, that I've seen.
Yes.
Okay. Well, any one of them would be good. They will stand on their own again.
Yeah.
You know, the M3, some of the more current ones.
Okay. You know, just for those playing at home, 18 minutes in, you failed to pick an actor, you failed to pick a characteristic, and you failed to pick a vehicle. Is this the type of training that they gave you in the government?
Yeah, always keep them guessing.
I haven't even gotten your rank and serial number. I'm not even asking for that. All right, here's how we're going to end this diatribe. And by the way, lest you think this has been a disaster, it's not. This is pure gold, wouldn't you say? We're having a good time. You having a good time?
We always do.
Where do you got to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no place. By the way, he is absolutely enjoying this beer like you wouldn't believe. Icy cold on a hot day. It's humid. And see, he won't drink this either because he knows it's filled with like the type of yeast that could kill you because you need a microwave. All right, tough question. Please try to answer it succinctly. And I'm begging you for a detailed answer as much as you can muster. And I know this is more thinking than you've done in a long time being a caregiver. But somebody calls you up. Your flip phone rings and you open it up. And suddenly on the other end is none other than the owners of James Bond, Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson. And they say, oh my gosh, Michael, we're such a fan of your videos on David's channel. David, Mark, yes. Not Michael. Not my father-in-law either. Mark, keep me straight. I can edit all that.
You got to remember all your lines now, right?
Well, we've rehearsed only twice. They say, listen, we're going to give you an absolute wish, all right? You could have any James Bond accessory you want. Any watch, any piece of clothing, again, a vehicle. It's our gift to you. You have the whole treasure trove of the entire James Bond history. What are you choosing for your very own gift?
I just hang up the phone.
Why would you hang up the phone on Barbara Broccoli?
Because I don't know who's on the other end of the phone. They could say they were anybody. You don't know who you're talking to.
This isn't somebody taking advantage of your age trying to sell you insurance. They want to give you a gift. What if you could establish that? You see on caller ID, it's Barbara Broccoli from London. What if you could do that?
Barbara Broccoli is not going to call me from London.
I don't know if you know, but this whole video has been one big hypothetical. You're having trouble because you play very well in reality, and I play very well in fantasy. And there's this divisional line between the two of us. You're not going to play my reindeer games, are you? How about a nice Rolex watch? Can we give you one of those?
I like this one. This is very
It's
nice
it's
one.
beautiful. The Invictus is beautiful. First of all, I want to thank you for 20 minutes of absolute
Agony, right?
horror. Yeah. Absolute agony. What's so nice about this is I have some really great interviews coming up with some Bond celebrities. They are going to be cakewalks compared to the torture that you put me through. Seriously, this is part of your government training, though, not to give, when you're captured, not to give answers.
I've never gotten captured, so I wouldn't know.
First of all, bragging's not going to help. All right, I've been captured plenty of times. And by the way, I've seen you held captive by your own wife, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's different.
Well, listen, Mark, what a great update this has been. Scintillating, educational.
And boring.
Well, look, I'm not saying anybody's asleep out there, but I'm not saying they're awake either. It hasn't been boring at all. You listen, you're a joy to have as a father, as a potential father-in-law. Damn it. I really did forget all my lines. Mark, it's always a pleasure. Ooh, let me just say this here. Guy's got hands like bananas. He's like Q branch heads. Mark Hazard, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. What an amazing update. This is what's going on in Mark Hazard. Will there be a second one? I can't see it happening. We'll see you real soon. Take care. I wouldn't drink that beer. That beer is poisonous. You know that. And there go the glasses.
It's cold.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.